Hey there. So you're thinking about studying abroad, right? But you're probably drowning in advice, and half of it seems to contradict the other half. Well, you're in the right place. We're going to cut right through all of that noise. Let's build your actual roadmap, starting with the one decision that changes everything.
You know, this old saying is just perfect for what we're about to do. Think of this guide as that teacher, showing up at exactly the right time to walk you through the big choices that are going to define this whole next chapter of your life.
I've seen so many brilliant students take this leap. And it's funny, some of them just take off, they absolutely soar, and others, who are just as smart, kind of stumble. The reason why? Well, it's probably not what you think. It has absolutely nothing to do with how talented or gifted they are.
That's it. The whole game comes down to a series of choices. Get them right, and doors you never even knew existed start to open up. Get them wrong, usually by just following the crowd, and you can hit a wall pretty fast.
And your success story. It all kicks off with this first huge choice, the one that really lays the groundwork for everything else to come.
All right, so here it is, the first big choice. And I want you to do something radical. Forget about the country. Seriously, forget the university rankings for just a minute. The absolute most important decision you'll make is what you study. This is the thing that's going to shape your career, your passion, and the kind of mark you leave on the world.
And I mean really gets you fired up. Not what your parents think is a good idea or what your cousin did, but what makes your brain light up. What problem in the world are you just dying to solve? That feeling, that's your compass. You have to listen to it.
Okay, now let's get a little strategic here. Passion is the fuel, for sure, but you need a car that's actually going to get you somewhere. You got to think beyond what's trendy right now. Ask yourself, which industries are actually growing? Where's the demand going to be in, say, 2045? And this one? This is a biggie. AI and automation are changing everything. So your goal, your mission, is to pick a field where you're learning things that a machine just can't do. We're talking critical thinking, creative problem solving. That's how you make yourself indispensable.
Let me tell you a quick story. I remember working with this incredible engineering student, top of her class, and everyone, I mean everyone, was pushing her to get an MBA. Why? Well, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? It was the prestigious thing. But it just wasn't her.
Instead, she went all in on her real passion, which was biomedical engineering. And today, she's not just making a great living, she's genuinely fulfilled. She's designing devices that save lives. An MBA would have never given her that kind of impact. And that is the power of choosing the right what. All right, so once you have that crystal clear vision of what you're going to study, then we can start talking about where. Let's move on to the next layer of your plan, picking a country and a university, but with a real strategy in mind. I want to introduce a term here that I call optical stability. This isn't just about university rankings. It's about looking at a country and asking some tough questions, like how predictable are their visa policies? How friendly is the environment for students like me, not just for this year, but for the next 5 or 10 years? You know, every country has its own trade-offs. The US, for instance, has opportunities you just won't find anywhere else, but their visa rules can be a real roller coaster. Then you've got Canada, which is super stable with really clear pathways to stick around. The UK has amazing schools, but you got to keep a close eye on their work visa rules because they change. Australia and New Zealand, great for jobs, stable policies, and places like Germany and the Netherlands are top-notch academically if you've got skills that are in high demand. It really comes down to your personal goals and, honestly, how much uncertainty you're okay with.
So, you've picked your program, you've got a short list of countries. Now we get to the fun part, actually telling your story. See, your application isn't just a pile of paperwork. It is your single biggest chance to show a group of strangers who you are and why they absolutely need you in their program.
Let's just break down the big pieces here. First, look at that timeline. Getting your test prep started over a year out, that's a game changer. But the real magic happens in your statement of purpose. That's where you explain your why. Your letters of recommendation are the proof, coming from people who've actually seen you in action. And your resume? That's where you put numbers to your achievements to show the real impact you've had.
If you remember one thing about your statement of purpose, let it be this. Don't just list what you've done like a boring timeline. Your job is to weave a story that connects the dots and inspires the person reading it. Make them feel like they'd be crazy not to accept you.
Okay, your application is looking amazing. Now let's get down to the brass tacks, the stuff that makes this whole dream a reality. getting the money together and clearing those final hurdles, like the visa interview.
So, the good news is you've got options. Big-name scholarships like Fulbright or Chevening are amazing, but you have to plan way ahead. Here's a little secret, especially for the US, assistantships. A lot of the time, the university will actually waive your tuition if you do some research or teaching for them. And, of course, education loans are always there to help fill in any gaps. Okay, a really important warning here. The visa process is not something you can just wing at the last minute. Just look at what happened recently. The students who booked their appointments way in advance, smooth sailing. The ones who waited, they literally missed their start date and lost their spot for the whole year. Timing is absolutely everything.
Whew! Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's pull all these pieces together into one master plan. We'll lay out a timeline to make it all feel less overwhelming, and then we'll hit a couple of the biggest questions that I know are on your mind.
Here it is, your 18-month countdown. The biggest thing to see here is that this is a marathon, not a sprint. See how all the heavy lifting, the research, the test prep, the applications, it's all front-loaded? That's on purpose. It means the last 6 months are just about execution, locking down funds, getting your visa. It makes the whole thing way less stressful and way more likely to succeed.
This is probably the #1 question I get, hands down. Everyone's worried that one C+ on their transcript or a test score that's just okay has totally blown their chances.
And the answer is a huge, emphatic no. These days, universities are looking for whole people, not just numbers on a page. They want to see your side projects, your leadership experience, your passion. A really compelling story in your SOP can absolutely make up for a GPA that isn't perfect.
So, we've laid out the entire map for you, from that very first huge decision all the way to you getting on that plane. I know it can feel like a journey of 1,000 miles, but just like Lao Tzu said, it always begins with that first single step.
And that brings it all right back to you. The roadmap is in your hands. The choices are yours to make. This incredible journey is just waiting for you to start. So the only real question left is, what's your first step going to be?